Yes.
We are ready.
Hey, thank you. Welcome to extrakTALKS. We're here. We love having you here, man.
We do.
We got a lot going on.
We do.
It's a blast. Today's topic, terpenes, which is very cool. Check out all of our resources. We got live tours, CBD jam sessions. We got a great team. And we've got guides, advanced extraction guides, distillate guides. We got other guides coming up, too.
Yeah, we do. We got my desk. There's a stack of papers like this.
No, I've seen his desk. The stack is like this.
No, that's just the guide portion.
You're a big fat liar.
Okay. Copy.
Calculator libraries are on fire. You guys are just lighting it up.
You guys are amazing. And by the way, we're putting out some variations on those, because some people want to calculate different things. So we're gonna put out some variations
amplifying different things.
By the way, we've also published some like collection pages. So one collection page is like all of our product tours are on there. And all of our product tours have been kind of buried in our web pages. So we put them all on a collection page so you guys could binge on them.
Binge.
Yeah.
Go.
That's pretty good.
Go to town.
The other collection page that we have is, for all of our downloads and our guides and stuff like that. So if you guys are looking for that, there's collection pages.
So it's the same as like watching the Avengers.
It's kind of like
you
that,
kind of binge them, right?
Yeah, you binge them, right?
Same thing. Hey, who's Captain America?
You can do them.
Okay, so mini courses are coming too. We got a lot of those in the pipe. You guys are going to be excited.
Yeah,
wait till those. Oh, by the way,
we're working hard on those.
Mike Butner from Royersford,
congratulations,
PA, Hemp Strain Survey.
Yeah.
Well done,
all right.
Mike. You get a whole goodie bag.
Our Hemp Strain Survey, I've been monitoring that. It is we have lots of views on that. We have lots of interaction with that. So
bring it, guys.
Yeah, great.
Keep it coming. We're collecting.
Yeah, we're collecting, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and crunch the data based on that, and then we'll go ahead and do another podcast just on what you guys told us.
The technical term for analyze?
Crunching.
Crunch?
Yeah.
Crunch. Okay, so today, terpenes, and why you might be throwing away money. You don't want to do that. Don't throw away money. We're going to talk about cannabis-derived terpenes, adding terpenes to distillate. Do terpenes get you high? Is another thing we're going to talk about. Terpene benefits, how to use terpenes, hemp terpenes, the best terpenes out there, terpinoids. Wow.
Terpenoids?
We could, apparently.
We have got some.
Is there a movie on
major
terpenoids?
Chemical.
That could be a movie. Terpinoids.
The Revenge of the Terpenoids.
Exactly. I like it.
It's going to be good.
Terpene structure, terpene extraction.
Hey, James, can you make us up one of those videos, The Revenge of the Terpenoids? He says yes. He says yes.
Yes.
We can do it.
He's nodding his head vociferously.
All right.
Okay, so what is a terpene?
Okay, so let's get into this. Let's
Make
get
it
into
happen.
this. Yeah, so let's start
I'm so
off.
excited. Hey, by the way, any tables?
No tables today.
What?
Just some recommendations.
We are so disappointed.
And actually, the terpene topic, when I got into it, I found out that it was, there's just a lot of stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't want to, pack it so heavily in. Otherwise, you'd be listening to me for hours, go on and on and on.
We love that. We would be hanging on every word for hours.
So what we're going to try to do is really take and boil it down to a couple different topics.
Okay.
We're going to take up terpenes again next week.
Oh.
And the week after. So this is going to be like a 3-part series.
A trio.
Because there is a lot of terpenes going on
wow.
and a lot of stuff. So, and I couldn't get it all in. So we're just going to take it easy and keep it light.
He likes to deep dive.
We're going to keep it light.
I know that's a surprise.
It
is to me.
This is Johnny T keeping it light. So let's get started all about terpenes. We're going to talk about sources of terpenes.
Okay.
Where they come from, what what the other sources of terpenes are. Obviously, we know that terpenes come from cannabis. We know that they can come from other, botanicals, but obviously there are other synthetic areas that you can get them.
I was surprised you can get them from all different kinds of botanicals.
You can get them from Exxon.
Really?
Absolutely.
I heard you could get them from DuPont.
Shell, DuPont Shell Chemical Company. Okay, so we're also going to talk about a subject that nobody talks about.
Really?
And that is the stability of terpenes and how that can influence and affect your formulation. And I thought that it would be just a natural thing to talk about when I'm talking about the terpenes, because I'm going to get into some of the chemical structures, okay? And it's going to be really accessible, so don't tune out just yet. And then I'm going to really give you some recommendations as to how to store and handle those terpenes, okay? So, delicate. And then you can see I'm not going to talk about extraction of those terpenes. I'm not going to talk about where in the process you would get the terpenes, because there's multiple points at which you'd get those terpenes out.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about that next week. In this case, we're going to talk about all this storage and how to preserve the terpenes. So here we got a picture.
Pretty?
Yeah, we got a picture of a nice. How many people have driven around like, oh, what's that skunk? It can't be the skunk. Why can't it be the skunk? Because you know that it's harvest time.
It's harvest time.
It's harvest time, and there's that isn't skunk that you're smelling there, boy. That's not what that is.
Okay.
There must be a field around here, or there's got to be an extraction facility around here. You smell that. You smell that very, very like a skunky smell, or you'll smell something that's very botanical going on. You can drive through, the city or the country lanes, and you can just find, okay, hey, look, there must be a grow nearby. That is something that's really cool, because in the past, you wouldn't really, meaning before 2014, you wouldn't really smell hemp anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And then people started growing hemp, and in certain areas you would smell it, and then now it's everywhere. So a lot of people are growing hemp. I mean, all over the place. So
you bet.
This terpene myrcene is a monoterpene. It is what is commonly thought of to be the key ingredient to that skunky smell.
Oh.
But it's not the only one. There's multiple, and if you go into
the literature,
it was totally
just that.
It's not just that, but what's cool about it is that it has a very high boiling point. It boils at a higher boiling point than obviously the air, but the volatility is such that you can smell it really easily.
Wow.
So,
okay.
And your nose is very sensitive. So that's what you're really smelling there. So what are terpenes and terpenoids? Okay, so you can see this is a little molecule here that we got. It's called a isoprenoid.
It's an isoprenoid.
It's an isoprenoid. And you can let's count the carbons on that. Okay, so you have the first carbon here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 carbons.
So there's 5 units. There's 5 carbons.
There's
5 carbons
in a terpenoid.
Yeah, and so what the plant does is it makes these molecules, and then they start to react in the matrix, and they cyclize. In other words, they start to react with each other. So here you have one isoprenoid, you get another one. Oh, they come together, and then they cyclize like this, and then maybe they'll react a little bit, and they'll put an oxygen on there, and then they may be bridged, okay, with maybe the little bridge, and then they'll start to, and then another one will come by, and they start to, okay, so they're very reactive.
You just described the quantum realm.
That is exactly how it happens. Okay, so there are many thousands of these, terpenes that people have really identified. A couple of the flavors and aromas books that I have, one of them says 30,000, the other says 36,000. Some of the internet says 20,000. So, okay, let's just all agree. It's over 10,000. That's a lot of compounds.
Okay.
So you can imagine that there's,
we should do that with our elections.
Together. Yeah.
Let's just call it over 10,000.
Just call it over 10,000 and we got it. Okay. So isoprenoids are 5 carbon molecules.
5.
They're building blocks for terpenoids. Okay. This, if you were just looking at this one isoprenoid, that is a hemi. And if you put 2 of them together, that's a mono.
Oh.
And if you put 3 of them together, that's a sesqui. And then there's a diterpene. A lot of people think di is like 2 of those isoprene units put together. That's not the case.
Oh.
That's not the case.
I would have thought that.
Please do not use that.
I won't.
Okay. Do not do it. Okay, so
what is a di?
So like for example, myrcene
eyes?
That we just talked to.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back.
Myrcene.
You can calculate. There should be 10 here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow.
That would be double.
We did it. 2. Yes. So
Deca.
that would be a monoterpene.
That would be a mono.
That would be a monoterpene because there's one linkage together of the two iso. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So a lot of people get that confused. They think, okay, this is the mono.
But 10 carbon molecules.
10 carbon molecules is a monoterpene.
Is a mono.
Yeah. And then, so you got 5, 10, 15, 20. Who here can count by fives? Okay.
I can.
If you can count by fives, you can get the terpene formulas down because they're all multiples of 5.
Oh.
Isn't that cool?
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every now and then.
Give me 5.
All right. 5, 10, 15. Okay. No patty cake. That's not cool. Okay. Okay. When you get up to
it is really cool.
When you get up to a larger,
this is a kid's show
strings of these isoprenoids put together, you start to get into what's called sterols and plant sterols.
Okay.
And of course, if you guys are like health conscious and stuff, plant sterols are actually quite good.
Very good.
In fact, so they're. In fact, humans or animals actually they eat the plant sterols and they create cholesterol.
Oh.
Okay, so sometimes
But there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol.
Yes, there are. You know this, all right. So sterols are actually thought to inhibit the action of cholesterol within the body. There's a whole bunch of research on that. But sterols are nothing more than a multiple of an isoprene unit.
Oh.
Pretty cool. At least the plant sterols are. Okay, so those are good. And then the carotenoids, with like the xanthophylls, those are really the yellow pigments that you see in the jar of distillate. Oh. So you see the yellow there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Got it.
That's the carotenoids and the pigments. And there's other pigments. There's any kind of red pigments. There's maybe flavonoids in there. So sometimes if you see, how a bud has little tiny hairs on it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, those have like flavonoids in there, and they're responsible for that kind of that reddish color that comes out of there. So it's kind of cool. Yeah. So the flavonoids are awesome
yellow
too.
And red will give you a little orangey.
Okay. I'm not going to go through this,
What?
but I wanted to show
Come
you that,
on.
hey, the plants
Quitter.
are extremely efficient at making these
Isoprenoids.
Isoprenoids are derived from plant metabolism. Okay, so you can see the CO2 is being given off, and you're changing you're using ATP. And this is how it's a part of cellular respiration.
So how close was this to?
And you can see right down here in the bottom. You see right there. That's where it is. That's the isoprenoids that are made. And these things are cleaved off. See, this is like an energy molecule, and the cell gets energy from basically cleaving this phosphorus bond here, and as it cleaves it off, it produces this isoprene.
So is this kind of the aftermath as it's being used, kind of a photosynthesis kind of structure?
Yeah. So it is what they call an enzymatic pathway within the cell of the plant, and it's constantly doing this. Of course it is. There's little tiny machines, and they're making this stuff all the time. And what's great about it is
it's magic.
It's making up all these flavors for us. It's making up all these beautiful aromas for us.
Beautiful.
And it's all in the machinery of the plant itself.
It's magic.
Where are they coming from? It's coming from the machinery of the plant, all of the enzymes and all that stuff.
Love it.
There are other synthetic sources, however, to terpenes.
Uh-oh.
So, like, for example, I can go to a company and a witch's brew kind of thing, organic chemist.
Toil and trouble.
Yes, exactly like that.
So they can synthesize it.
They can synthesize some of these. And what's nice about that is you can get them relatively pure. They might have isomers, but typically they're purified.
Oh.
So they can get them pure.
And make them more consistent.
Yes, that's true. And I'll get into some of the reasons why they're very hard to do.
I didn't mean to
That's
jump
very
ahead.
hard to do. But also natural sources like orange peels or lemon peels or lime peels or whatever.
Zest.
Lots of people use, for example, they'll use like steam distillation to be a good example of an extraction technique there. And then obviously we're here because of cannabis and hemp terpenes. Because we're fans.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
And all that wonderful stuff. So they're generated in the resinous trichomes, which are on the flower itself and around the flower. And what's awesome about that is those trichomes, they typically will stabilize the terpene so that it doesn't degrade. And so, and then they just kind of emit very, very slowly off the aroma, okay? And that's really cool. They also protect it from, reactions. However, it does react inside of the trichome, so whatever. But there's a lot of strain names that are specifically tied to, for example, how a strain would smell, like a cheese or a blueberry or Skittles would be a good example. Fruit Loops. There's all these different strain names because the plant is expressing, different ratios of these terpenes.
So in Fruit Loops, they just put a whole bunch of that in. Terpene from the fruit.
From the Fruit
Loop.
I guess so. Let's move on.
Strawberry, orange, lemon.
Okay, so this is some structures here. And people like to see these structures, because it's like, wow, you hold up a bottle of, say, camphor, and you're like, that is kind of cool. That is the chemical structure of that. Okay.
That'll get you. Do you say that aliphatics?
Yes. So there's short-chained aliphatics. Now, these are now, and then there's phenylpropanoids. Now, I'm going to not talk about the aliphatics and the propanoids. Just suffice it to say that those are the flavonoids. Those are the flavonoids. Flavonoids is what they're called. And the ones on the right-hand side under terpenes, terpenoids. Those you can see they'll all be multiples of 5, like the caryophyllene, the camphor, the thymol, limonene, citral, and cineol. Now,
we've talked about those in other podcasts.
We have. Now, in the hemp and cannabis world, there are what's called major and minor kind of, major and minor terpenes, okay?
Sure.
Some of those major ones would be geraniol, humulene, limonene, linalool. Those are the very fruity ones. There's the myrcene, which is the skunky. Okay. There's pinene, which is sometimes gives that pine smell, and other ones. And then there's some of the more minor ones. And what I have here, like the citral and the caryophyllene and the camphor, those are relatively minor. They don't really express themselves really to a great extent within the plant, at least the cannabis plant. Okay.
Gotcha.
So humulene, for example, is one of the major cannabinoids, and it is available in all kinds of different different flowers or plant materials. It's not just for cannabinoids. You can get them from hops. You can get them from basil. You can get them from thyme. And a lot of people, they have businesses right around, basically essential oils, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what it is. So, you can talk a little bit about what that really is, but at the end of the day, those essential oils are basically mixtures of terpenes, and they have anything else that's volatile in the plant. They put them together. Sometimes they have them in an alcohol-based formula.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
And that would not be considered to be solvent-free.
No.
If you had them like an alcohol in them, if you got a bunch of terpenes out with like a vacuum distillation, that would be considered to be terpene-free.
Gotcha.
Solvent-free, not terpene-free. Yeah. Yep. Excuse me. Yeah. So anyway, that's the thing. I will make an honorable mention on the phenylpropanoids, which are basically flavonoids. They give the plant the bitter taste. So like kale, for example, the flavonoids, you taste that. It's very... it's got that bitter taste to it.
Bitter, unless you boil it out.
And there are all different types, and there are also pigments. So, like I had mentioned before about the red and all that stuff.
The yellow.
Blue.
Green.
Purple, like purple haze, for example. Those are the anthocyanins.
Gotcha.
These are flavonoids, okay? They are also co-extracted when you, when you do your extraction.
So flavonoids add to flavor predominantly, and terpenes add to flavor as well, but it's more aromatic.
That's correct. Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Gold star.
You did it. So, fruit juices, things like that. Also, one major area of flavonoids is the tannins.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tannins. Like wine.
Yes.
That's where wine has tannins.
And then they're phenolic in nature. In other words, you can see they have this OH group that's on there. So they can be polyphenols, and those are in,
of course,
those are in the scotches that we drink.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's the OH?
Yeah. So they got this structure right here. So they have they have different varieties of those. Just like the terpenoids, there's all kinds of different flavonoids. Yeah. So
got it.
Keep that in mind while you're drinking it. One of the most
we'll have to explain that when we do our bourbon and scotch tasting.
Oh yeah, that'll make
keep threatening that.
That'll make everybody go. They will definitely go.
Not if they're drinking scotch and bourbon.
All right. So
right? Am I right?
Okay. That's just kind of setting it all up for you guys. I thought I would go into some of the chemistry of it, and putting the structures in front of you is not meant to confuse you. It's just to say, hey, look, there are major differences between the different types of terpenes, and those different types of terpenes will have different aromas, and they'll have different boiling points, and they have different stabilities. And the reason for that is the way they're structured chemically.
Gotcha. Okay.
And yeah.
This is fascinating.
What's really cool about this, look at this. I'll look at camphor.
By the way, this could technically be called a table.
This is what's called the camphor there. That's what's called a ketone.
A ketone.
Yes. And this right here is an alcohol.
Okay.
An alcohol group. Okay. This is an aldehyde. Citral. Makes sense, right?
Sure.
You can tell just from Al. OL is the alcohol. Al is aldehyde. These are perfumes. So aldehydes are very well known for their perfume.
Very aromatic.
Yeah, very, very aromatic, right? And, if you have like oxygens on these are typically way more stable chemically than something without an oxygen, for example. So like limonene or beta-carotene.
So this is fascinating, and I know you're going to be, latching this back down, but this chemistry that we're talking about is what you're looking for when you pull that wherever in the process you're pulling those terpenes, so that you can re-add those in your formulations later. Correct.
And I'm going to go through some of the, how they're not chemically stable. We're going to go talk a little bit about the reactions that take place, but then I'm going to bring it back to the practical nature. What do I need to do to preserve these things?
And that's in the next two areas.
Yeah. I'm going to do that today.
You're going to go?
We're going to do that today. So
run like the wind, Buttercup.
So here it is. Terpenes are not chemically stable.
Kind of like me.
Yeah, not chemically stable.
I am not stable.
Well, I don't think any of us are chemically stable. I mean, we definitely.
Do you guys agree?
Hit the bot. Hit the bot. Is he chemically stable?
Just check.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But
who is less stable? Is
oxidation, thermal effects. Okay, sunlight, heat, light, and oxygen are the three horsemen of the terpene apocalypse.
Oh boy!
Essentially.
Okay.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got all those things.
Okay. What were the three again?
Oxygen,
light,
and heat.
So
you basically got three of those. You got those three in abundance, and with plenty of ability to get at and around it, you're going to have all kinds of reactions. Okay.
So you don't want that.
So I'm just going to be
that will affect your terpenes.
Yeah, that will affect your terpenes. So these are all the different types of reactions that can take place. Just suffice it to say, everybody's heard about free radicals, right?
Oh yeah, they're bad.
Yeah, they're bad.
Don't want those. So get rid of them.
That's what's happening in your terpene mix when you have it. You will be able to measure the presence of, because they're stabilized. The free radicals are in there. So, you could pour some vitamin C in there maybe.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Kind of get some of that. But there's some other ways you can do it without having to worry about.
Because if unchecked, they'll be cancerous.
Yeah, of course.
With free radicals.
Yeah, the free radicals are bad. Yeah.
Vitamin C does help.
Let's see here, like benzopyrenes. Those are, a result of barbecuing meat, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
And they have those. They have all the benzopyrenes, and they have the little radicals, and the radicals come in. Oh, they're gonna get you. So and then they start chewing, and eventually they get through, and you come up with something. So
okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay,
I'm never going to have a barbecue again without thinking of that.
That's the technical.
Thank you for that.
That's the technical mechanism.
You've ruined barbecue
how
for
they
me
actually work
forever.
So how do you know if they're chemically degraded? You can look at. We had talked many times about testing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And what's great about testing is you're able to measure the amount of certain compounds within your mixture, right?
Okay.
So that's what's great about testing. In the case of a degraded terpene complex or degraded terpene solution, you are able to test to see whether or not it's been degraded or how much it's been degraded.
Okay.
It's not so much a matter of if it has been degraded, it's just a matter of how much has been degraded.
Gotcha.
And this particular molecule is one that we always look for because it is a major degradation component. It's p-cymonine, and basically it's a alkyl benzene is what they call that, and it's aromatic, and you can measure it with a GCMS very, very easily. And in fact, you can actually see that very easily in with HPLC as well.
Really?
So yeah, it's a one of those things that comes out, very early on in your chromatogram. So the other thing that you can look at is off odors and off flavors. This is called organoleptic testing, and it's just smell and taste. And
he usually smells it, and then he makes me taste it. That's usually how it works.
Well, I smell it. I go, okay, does it smell good? Yeah, it smells good, right? And then we go ahead and it smells the same. So, I mean,
no, it smells horrible. Here, you taste it.
There are people who that's what they do for a living, right? They smell things.
Sommeliers are very trained in that in the wine world.
Right, exactly. Unfortunately, they can't drink any of the wine.
They spit it out.
They have to spit it out. What good is that?
Yeah. Why is his cup so big and flat?
Changing colors would be the other thing, and then you can also measure free radicals in the terpene blend. There's a ways to do that.
Wow.
Electron spin resonance is one way to do that. There are other ways to do that, but
an electron spin resonator.
Yeah, exactly.
You need one of those to test that.
With an over-under oscillator duplicator. You get that, and you can do that, yeah.
And time travel.
Yeah, time travel. Woo! Okay. So here's the effect of extraction solvent on oxidation of terpenes. Okay, a lot of people don't understand, but when you extract...
When he says all people...
When you extract, you have ethanol. Suppose you're going to extract with ethanol, right?
Yep.
You understand that is basically liquid oxygen.
Okay.
And you are extracting your cannabis with liquid oxygen.
Okay.
You have, it's not quite that bad, but it does have very, very high oxygen levels, much greater than 50 parts per million. I used to be involved in removal of gases from, say, liquids like this, and it's shocking how much oxygen is in them. You can always do some sort of degassing effect. In fact, but when you mix it with water, you're going to actually get more oxygen in there. So that's the capacity of oxygen for an ethanol water mixture is much greater than just for ethanol itself.
Okay.
And oxygen is also in water at about 8.3 parts per million at standard temperature and pressure.
So at 8 p.m. water.
My point is that if you use that as a solvent to extract, the ethanol and the oxygen in the ethanol is going to immediately start reacting.
Oh.
So that's something to think about. Ethanol is not a very good preserver of terpenes. Okay. Yeah. Besides that, once you have it in the ethanol, it's very difficult to get out without removal of the ethanol, and then complete 100% degradation of the terpenes. So I wanted to bring up the fact that the solubility of oxygen in condensed oxygen, which is liquid CO2, is a lot lower. Just has to do with the way oxygen is made.
Sure.
The oxygen itself doesn't condense into a liquid, so it's automatically separated. So you don't really have the same oxygen content. And it's well known that CO2 actually stabilizes the terpenes in the liquid CO2. And I'll tell you how I know this. It's not because it's written in some literature. We actually did a whole bunch of studies on this, and we tested, the effects of temperature on the output of terpenes that came out of the extractor. So we went up to 100 degrees, 150 degrees Celsius, and we tested it at low temperature and high temperature, and it didn't make any difference in the ratios of terpenes.
Really?
Just because it's not very reactive in CO2. It's not. So it kind of stabilizes it. So
Sure.
Just wanted to bring that up as an important aspect. So which terpenes are the most stable? I think I alluded to this before.
You did.
But if you have alcohols, if you have aldehydes, if you have ketones, you have esters, those are the ones that are stable. They're very desirable. Also, you can see that, like everybody knows about linalool, geraniol, which is a major terpene within hemp and cannabis. Citral is that aldehyde, which is it has
aromatic.
Very aromatic.
Perfumes, remember?
Yep.
Citral.
And then geraniol acetate, which is an oxidation byproduct of geraniol.
Wow.
Okay, but again, esters are great. Also, they have a great aroma associated with them. But people want to have these oxygenated terpenes. The non-oxygenated terpenes are highly reactive, so they're going to be reacting all the time with themselves, with each other, with the cyclizing, basically messing up everything all the way around. Yeah, degrading into off odors and off colors. And so, if you want to have a formulation that's stable, you want to really formulate with oxygenated terpenes as much as you can.
Wow.
Think about that.
Okay.
So think about that. So now that we know where they came from, what the sources are, what the major components are, major and minor terpenes are, and that the fact that they are highly reactive, that your extraction technique itself can kind of either enhance greatly the reactivity or take it away and stabilize the reactivity. Now you really need to go, you have a jar of beautiful, terpenes. How do you store that? Yeah. Okay. And it's well known that light, oxygen, and heat are the three key contributors to degradation. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to try to control each of those.
Wow.
Okay. So you want to make sure that if you store it, don't store it in a clear bottle. Don't store it in an amber bottle. And if you do store it in an amber bottle, you take a piece of tin foil, you wrap it around it and close it up.
Okay.
So that you don't have light hitting it all the time.
You don't want light.
Right. So we have...
That's one of the three horsemen.
That's one of the three horsemen. Light gonna chew it up. Not going to chew it up. The second one is remove the oxygen. So there's a couple different ways to do this. If you have, we have gallons and gallons of terpenes that we deal with, right?
Yep.
Okay, so there is oxygen in there. Can you get the oxygen out? Absolutely, you can get the oxygen out. You can bubble, for example, helium through it, and the helium will take the oxygen out of the terpenes. Oh. So that's called helium sparging. You can also put it through what they call a degasser, which is a membrane degasser, if you are so inclined. So those are some ways to get rid of the oxygen. The other thing that you have is a good practice to do is either blanket with argon or nitrogen. Now, what that means is if I have a can of terpenes here, and the terpenes are filled up right here, and I just pour a little, I just blow a little nitrogen over it, right? And that nitrogen then will blanket it and keep it from the oxygen from coming in and attacking it. Okay.
Right.
Now
that's in the little Keurig capsules.
Yes.
They put that
little nitrogen in there.
They do.
Okay. All right.
They do.
One thing about...
And in wine, you can get those spritzes to
Oh
put
yeah,
in.
right. So that it will prevent oxidation and stuff like that. So there you go. It's nothing that isn't already well known. What isn't so well known is that argon is really great for preserving, and
shout out to Argonne National Labs.
Shout out. I think what you got to do is so what's cool about argon is if you get a bottle of it, you can buy a bottle of it. It's expensive, but you're only using a little tiny bit of it all the time. And I would pour argon in here, and what it would do is it's heavier than air.
Okay.
So it actually would displace all the air in there over it, and it would just displace it. So you could just keep it there. You'd probably just cover it, and that would have argon in there. A little different than nitrogen. Nitrogen is going to kind of dissipate into the air. Argon will not do that. Wow. So argon is a really great way to preserve it. And if you got a freezer full of beautiful terpenes, and you've put all this time and effort into preserving them and or filtering them and or if it's the product that you like, it's got the flavor profile, you want to preserve that. And the best way to do that, basically use a bunch of tin foil, make sure your argon is in there, and put it in the freezer.
Okay.
There you are.
That eliminates the three horsemen of the terpene apocalypse.
Pretty
light, oxygen, and heat.
Pretty much that's it.
See, I listen.
And then you can test often for degradation. So you can go to your GCMS and you can test for oxidation. You can use a UV vis or you can use an ESR for that. Now, the recommendations for preserving while in use. So I'm going to use this bottle here. What do I do? Okay, there's a whole technique associated with this. You want to have your argon there.
Yep.
You open it up, use the tin foil, you remove it from the freezer, return it directly to the freezer, and then you can test it periodically for stability.
Gotcha.
So that's basically all it is. It's not a big deal, but you want to preserve it, right? You want to keep it the same. Otherwise, your formulation is going to be the same. Otherwise, it's going to taste different, and then it's going to react once it's in the package. It's going to react, right?
Yeah.
So you might as well keep it as close as you can to an original starting point.
Yes.
And so that's what that is. So next week, what we're going to do is we're going to go over extraction of terpenes, steam distillation, CO2 stripping, and vacuum distillation. We're going to compare those techniques. We're going to show you where you would go about doing the
so CO2 stripping is with $2 bills rather than $1 bills?
No, it's not. No,
he's blushing.
No, it's not. No, it's
Sorry.
Forget about it. We'll talk about it next week, guys. And then beneficial properties of terpene. We're going to talk about some of the reasons why people are so jacked up about terpenes. Why do they really like them? What we're going to get into the entourage effect.
Oh,
we have touched on that before.
We have.
But you can see how if I wanted to go slowly through this and do some educational content, that I didn't want to rush through all that stuff at the beginning. And then how to mix terpenes. A lot of people don't know how to mix terpenes into their distillate.
Well, it's hard because you gotta juggle the tin foil and the argon.
Besides that, and you're freezing and the argon and all that stuff.
That's a lot to juggle.
But once you got it mixed up, okay, in there, you want to make sure that it's mixed fully, number one. Yep. And then we have some calculators for you on the, how much to mix in for percentages. A very simple
formulation calculator.
Little formulation calculator, yeah.
Bonus.
And then some packaging recommendations.
Oh, good. That's really
for those of you who are absolutely like, we are going to have the best terpene profile ever, and it's going to be preserved. It's going to be fresh from the very beginning. Okay, well, you need to look at your packaging a little bit better than you probably are right now. So I'm going to give you some recommendations for oxygen barriers, stuff like that.
Scott and John out in Oregon, those are things you want to check out because shout out to you guys. This is going to be a good show.
All right. So that's what we're doing next week.
Thank you for being here. Well done. Yeah, good job, man. That's awesome. So again, reach out, see you next week because we got a lot to go. I know we covered a lot of chemistry today, but holy cow, I learned a lot.
All right.
I liked that.
All right.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. I even took notes.
Did you really?
Yeah. Well, you can probably read my handwriting. But thank you for being here. Check out all of our social channels, Facebook and YouTube Live. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Subscribe. That would be great. Subscribe to our podcast. That's what these are. There are printouts. There's a lot of handouts. Talk to our guys. They're on the DriftBot. Enable those pop-ups so you can talk to our guys. That would be great. And they are going to stay as long as you have questions.
Absolutely.
So we are there. I appreciate you being here. You have a fantastic day. Enjoy.
All right. See you later. Take care.